Today I'm going to discuss in detail about the fate of the DV2021 winners. And the reason I'm coming to this particular video is because there was a question posed by the Department of State on their Twitter account, and they answered some of the frequently asked questions. And I'm going to give my my deeper analysis on that and what can we expect in the end for the winners. So the question which was posed on the Twitter was, will the DV 2021 selectees be scheduled for an interview prior to the end of the 2021 fiscal year? Will they be prioritized as the deadline draws nearer? Number one, on that particular question, when we say the deadline is getting closer, is because the deadline for the fiscal year 2021 is September 30th. And from today I'm making this video to September 30th, we have less than 160 days between now and then. So we don't have enough time for all people to be interviewed. Remember, the DV 2021, the fiscal year started on October 1st, 2020, and the fiscal year of 2021 is supposed to end on September 30th, 2021. But no DV lottery winner was interviewed from October, November, December, January, February, and March. So for the first 6 months, no interviews. Very few started in the end of March because of the immigration suspension. So because of that, basically we lost 6 months of the DV lottery interviews. So we are remained with almost 6 months for the interviews. And up to this moment, there are some of the embassies and consulates in the world haven't even started interviewing even a single person. So the question to ask ourselves is, number one, the biggest question is, will the US embassies and consulates be in a position to interview all people who are supposed to be interviewed? Usually they interview within 12 months. Are they going to interview and issue 55,000 visas within a very short time, the window of less than 6 months? Or will that happen just like what happened in the DV 2020, where they didn't interview all and the game was over? Will they be able to do that? So, here is the answer from the Department of State. They say, DV 2021 selectees may only be interviewed in the 2021 fiscal year. Applicants should wait for the notification of interview appointment. U.S. embassies and consulates will schedule appointments as the resources and the local conditions allow, according to the resumptions of visa services framework. There are so many things packed in that particular sentence. I'm going to break it down to you. Number one, the selectees or the winners may only be interviewed in the fiscal year, meaning no interviews will be done beyond September 30th. And to prove that, when President Joe Biden made the executive order, and in that executive order, among other things, he stated people who were denied the visas because of their coming from the travel ban country will be given back the visas. They processed that. They went, people who wanted to apply for that, they're coming from the travel ban country. But by clarification was, if you are coming from travel ban country, but you are the DV lottery winner, you will not be able to be given because the fiscal year has passed. So that means, according to the Immigration and Nationality Act, you cannot interview someone in different fiscal year, unless otherwise the Congress is going to give that exemption, or the court is going to do that mandate to force the Department of State or the government to go even beyond that fiscal year. So, if that's the case, will the US Embassy and the consulate be in a position to do that one? So on the beginning of March, I did the video, and the video was talking about the Department of State briefing where they created priority or prioritization of immigrant visas versus non-immigrant visas. So they said the priority will be in the immigrant visas. Why there is a priority? Because most of the visas, they are on pending because of immigration suspension, but also because of the COVID-19, the US embassies were not in a position to do a lot of normal interviews. So they say at this moment, the focus will be more on the immigrant visas. By immigrant visa, we mean all the visas where someone is given permanent resident. And they are not just prioritizing just green card lottery, they are prioritizing even green card by marriage, green card by parents, whatever, or by work, all those, and if K1 visa, fiancé visa, all those visas are going to be prioritized. So it's not just prioritization on green card lottery. That's something you need to know. The second thing is, by green card lottery, again, the other challenge you're going to face is when the interviews are done, or just overall the immigrant visas, they must be done in person, because someone asked a question, and the question was, so if, we have to find what will be the better way in order to do all the interviews, because you cannot do all the physical interviews. The US, the Department of State ordered the embassies and consulates around the world to find a way to expand, to have interview rooms, extra rooms because of the COVID, or to do in the parking lot to create certain areas. But certain areas or certain embassies, they don't have enough staff, the executive staff to do the interviews. And the DV lottery winners or any immigrant visas must be done in person. So someone asked a question, how about entering the 21st century and doing the remote interviews? Why should you continue to do the remote interviews? So Cindy Brown on Twitter asked that question to the Department of State, and they responded, the current regulations require all immigrant visa applicants to appear in person before a consular officer. Because you, among other things, you have to do the you have to do the fingerprint. But the best way would be to modify the regulations. And then you have to do the fingerprint, but the fingerprint you can do in another line different from, they can do a lot of interviews over Zoom or over Skype or something like that. They can be able to do that. Because even here in the United States, most of the governments, you have to do the interviews usually was in person. But with the COVID, they have to do over the phone or over the Skype, over the Zoom, or in whatever way, but it has to be online. So this Charles Cook, who is a lawyer, went to comment and say, this is literally not a plan to reduce a 2 million case backlog. This is rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Because, as I said, we are just 160 days left. Less than that. And then there are certain embassies, they cannot be able to operate because they have to operate, as they say, I'm going to read here. They say U.S. embassies and the consulate will schedule appointments as the resources and the local condition. Resources meaning that if they have enough rooms, they have enough space, because they have to do 6 feet apart from one another. You have to wear a mask. They have so many all those regulations that be to follow. But also, if the local conditions allow, according to the resumption of the services. For instance, now in Kenya, you cannot travel from one area to Nairobi. How can you do the interviews in that situation? And if the interviews are not done by the end of September, they're not going to do anything. Unless otherwise, the lawsuit from AILA, they're going to win, and the court should mandate, clearly states, not like last year, clearly states that they will have to finish all the interviews until they issue all the maximum 55,000 visas. Otherwise, it will be similar to what happened to last year. So, in this situation, despite the guidelines or the briefing that they have to do the priority of the visas. Again, the priority is immigrant visas, not just green card. They are talking for also K visas, fiancé visas. They are talking about green card. Some people they are applied for their parents or for their children or whatever, or their spouses. All those people will be given the priority too. And there are over almost 500,000 of them. While you are just about 55,000 visas, but there are almost 500,000 of other categories. That's the challenge. Or the other way is if the administration has to go to the Congress, and the Congress should modify that. Because you cannot go to next fiscal year unless otherwise Congress is authorizing that or the court is going to order that. So these are the challenges which is going to happen. Is something very frustrating for the winners. Because now, despite of winning, you have already prepared your mindset, I'm going to America. You are prepared financially. You already stopped most of the plan you were planning to do, maybe in the year 2021. But now, you might not come, which is very, very scary. I know there is one person in Tanzania who won DV Lottery 2020 and didn't come because of the travel ban. The good thing, they applied for the DV 2021 and he won, and his wife also won. So this time both of them won. So they are processing. But what if they don't come again? This will be the most devastating thing in their entire life. The good thing, their case number, one of their case number is less than 10,000. But these are the challenges I want to share with you. So for those who are getting the opportunity to be interviewed, to get the schedule for the interview, don't start to bring, maybe I have to do my interview today and I will schedule the interview for my spouse or my kids on another time. Trust me, they might not get a chance to be interviewed before the end of September. So if you get the opportunity to get interview, do the whole family interview. If you're supposed to come with your family, do the interview, all of you together, and just come here. You never know what is going to change. Things are not going to be easy for the DV 2021. But I believe and I hope the court, the lawsuit will be able to go well, and other things will be going, maybe possible. They are going to change the regulations and allow the online interviews, and they can figure out how to do the fingerprint. You can be able to go at the embassy and do the fingerprint. That will be one line for fingerprint. They can be able to do that. So let's hope things will be able to change and modify, because that is a problem. Yeah, it's a very big problem. Otherwise, the backlog will not be able to do that, to end that, and the visa interviews, the DV Lottery winners are going to be very, very affected again. So I'm sorry for everyone who is now not knowing what's going on. Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, everyone. Bye-bye.